What would be the impact on insurance companies and the U.S. economy in general if an earthquake of the same magnitude that struck Chile were to be focused on Los Angeles or San Francisco?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. And the Richter scale is not a perfect, far from a perfect index of the damage caused, even if you tell me where the epicenter will be. And then you get into the big damage in the famous San Francisco quake was the fire following. They call that, when they distinguish between what coverages are involved, they call that the shake and bake. I mean, how much is shake and how much is bake afterwards. But I think it gets hard to get up. I mean, a really extreme quake, I think it gets hard to get up much more than 100 billion. But a very big quake, the frequency is way less. But if you get up in the Pacific Northwest, there is a possibility of a very high Richter scale quake there. And of course, the big ones that we know about, I mean, our history doesn't go back that far, but New Madrid, Missouri had 3 quakes in a relatively short period of time that were all well over 8. And that will happen again someday, maybe 500 years, maybe 1,000 years, and maybe tomorrow. That's what the insurance business is all about. I tend to think, and when I think about quake exposure, sort of worst case in California, I think 100 billion is getting up there. Northridge caused far more damage than the one that was up near San Francisco a few years earlier. But we'll have them. And Berkshire is totally prepared to handle anything that comes along, even if it's considerably worse than what the worst insured loss. I don't know whether Katrina came in finally at 70 billion or something like that. I think in terms of sort of worst case, and my guess is if that came along and we had a normal year and everything else, Berkshire would still have positive earnings of some substantial amount. So we are prepared. Charlie?
Yeah, and the big San Francisco quake of whatever it was, '06, caused a terrible fire. But the recent California quakes, the big ones, have not caused much fire. And a lot of earthquake damage is totally uninsured. So you might have a hell of a lot of damage without massive. Warren would know more about that than I.
So far in
the
Chile,
earthquake insurance is not universal like fire insurance.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And so an earthquake, a really terrible fire, or terrible wind conditions, seems to me catch people worse than the earthquakes.
So far in Chile, as I understand it, and I could be wrong on this and may not be the way the final numbers come in, but as the numbers have been coming in, something like 40% of it has been the tsunami and 60% has been the quake in terms of damage. But that may well not hold to be in terms of final figures. There will be huge catastrophes from time to time. We're in a different class in terms of even being able to handle them. I mean, we've got so much earning power outside of the insurance business that if you take a $250 billion quake or hurricane or whatever, and we have probably now not much more than 3% of that, but call it 4%. That'd be $10 billion, and our pre-tax earnings in any given year, I would expect, would be substantially greater than that. So we would have we'd have net earnings in a year that every other insurance company would be gasping. So we're in pretty good shape on that.